So, this episode is about witchcraft methods. And one of the first ones I want to talk about is soaps and oils. I have a family member that does witchcraft and she actually sells soaps. And she was like, oh, the first soap she gave me, there was nothing wrong with it. You know, it smelled nice. I was like, cool. Now my skin's gonna be clear, right? And then the second one she gave me, I was itching so bad. I've never encountered like that type of itch. Like, and it was full body itching. Like you would excuse me. you would this is the type of itch where I was like getting scars because I was itching so bad. And then I stopped using her soap because I was like, dang, like I have sensitive skin. Like, why did I try this soap? And then when I stopped uh, trying the soap, I stopped itching. And then I got a message from God through like a video that was talking about how witches um, put witchcraft in soaps. And then I remember she also tried to get me to do like a perfume oil, like you know those oils that they rub on your skin and they just smell nice for like 2 hours, probably probably about an hour and like 30 minutes or so. She tried to get me to get a oil from her and not to pay for it, just give it to me. And the same thing with the soap. She just gave me the soap. But she she yeah, I didn't use the oil though, because after the soap thing, I was like, I'm not gonna use anything else she's giving me. But at the time, I didn't know that she was a witch and doing witchcraft. It happened later on that I found out, and then I stopped. Like, she ended up, like, we ended up separating anyway. But anyway, and then another thing I've noticed about witchcraft is these people, they put it in their merchandise. Like, there's this cafe here that I noticed that the people are like a cult and they put their witchcraft in all of their merchandise. They don't put it in like food or drinks, but they'll put it in like items. Like they sold bars of soap, they sold lip gloss, they sold like special oils, they sold just merchandise. They just sell it in different merchandise. And it's not even like anything that you would think like, oh, that's witchcraft, like because it's like a book or something. It's not. It's just random stuff like a bag or a book or a regular book unrelated to anything spiritual. They'll just put it inside of like items, and when you touch it or you bring it to your house or you bring it to your atmosphere, that stuff has witchcraft. And then another thing I notice is that when you go to these places, they have they have they'll do like like spells and stuff that will put you to sleep. So like when I lived with my parents and both of my parents do witchcraft, they I slept so much. I would sleep from like morning time to like 6, and like, well, yeah, like morning time to like 6, something like that. Like it would be like majority of the day I would be asleep, and it wouldn't be like a normal sleep. It was like paralyzing sleep where you can't fight it, you can't get away from it. And then when I went to the place that I was talking about that had the merchandise, like I was sitting in there and I noticed after a little bit that I started getting sleepy, and they will drain you by putting you in like a state of sleepiness with their witchcraft. And the guy did like this to the lady. He was like, hey, like he looked at me and he was like, hey, to the lady. And then the lady looked at me and they both looking at me, and I'm like this in the corner, like, And I'm like, they not finna kidnap me. If y'all encounter that, you need to go. Do not stay there. And if that type of stuff happens, you pray, you ask God for deliverance, and you leave. Do not be around these places that put you to sleep or drain your energy, because witches drain your energy, and they will find you, they will plot on you, and they will try to distract you from your real purpose. Because if you sleep, you can't do nothing. So that's what they do. They do it to mess with your progress. Because even when I was when I wasn't working at the time. This was in high school, where I had like this particular season of just like extreme sleepiness. So from probably 10th grade to like senior year, I was just knocked out, sleeping every time, all the time. and and I also was playing instruments at that time. So if I'm sleeping most of the day, I can't play any instruments. I can't I can't pray if I'm asleep. I mean, you can pray in your spirit, but like at that time, I didn't know about that. So that's different. And then they also do things like putting sickness on you that doesn't stay. So when I was living with my parents, I also, my parents, first of all, are way older than me, as they should be, but they like, it was like, they were in their 60s when I was in my 20s, right? So, like early 20s. So, um, I was taking more medication than they were. I'm not saying you have to be old and take medicine, but I was taking like 6 pills, and I had 3 inhalers. And I've been away from them for like what, 4 or 5 years, and I don't take any medication. And I don't have any health complications. So why was I on medicine? That's witchcraft. Like there's literally no issues with me. I don't have any breathing problems. I don't have anything. Like there's literally nothing wrong. But when I was living there, I was so sick. Like I even missed like the first 2 weeks of school when I was a senior in high school because I was under witchcraft. And even I had teachers I would be falling asleep in class, and I don't mean like acute sleep. I mean I was like this, and I would just for the whole class. Witchcraft. Anyway, they also will put like spiritual curses on your life by talking. They'll be like, "You never gonna do nothing. You never gonna have money. You never gonna have this." They do that to try to keep you away from your purpose and get you away from what you're supposed to be doing. They put verbal curses on your life. That's like a low level witchcraft, and it's awful. You have to rebuke that. You have to pray against it. But even so, God is still gonna protect you. Cause guess what? I'm still here, and when I was in it, it didn't last that long. So they try very hard, but it don't really work. Cause we feel like the lower effects of like major things. So yeah. And then they also try, if you're one of those people that are having access to the spirit realm like I do, they will also try to attack you in the spirit realm. They'll try to they'll go, like for example, when you go to sleep, when I go to sleep sometimes I'll go into the spirit realm. I'll be like, sometimes I'll just be walking around. Sometimes it's through my dreams that God talks to me, or etc. Well, I can't say etc. because people may not know, but like I'll have a dream, and God will talk to me through the dream, or I'll have a spirit. I'll be in the spirit room and He'll talk to me in the spirit room. But they'll go and like craft a thing. They'll craft a scenario. For example, I don't know why, but they have like a tendency to put me in the same spaces and think that I'm supposed to have an emotional reaction from it. Like, the first house I lived in, it had a bed, and then there was a door that was like in front of the bed, and then there was a door right here. They will put me in that, like in the spirit realm. Like, they'll try to infiltrate your dream, or like you're in the spirit realm, or anyway, they'll try to put me in that space, right? This is how I know they're messing with me too. But even if they decide to get a new method, I really don't care. But anyway, they put me in that space, right? I'm sitting on the bed because I'm already seeing this, like, what is happening? Why am I here? I don't normally think or dream about this. And all of a sudden, they'll come in and try to like stab me. I remember I had an aunt, the same aunt that does witchcraft, came in the room and tried to keep stabbing me. And I was like, what are you doing? And I'm like evading it, but I was like, what is happening? And then I just woke up and I was fine. But I was like, that's witchcraft. And then another time I had another dream where my mom and my dad was doing the same thing. They came in and kept trying to stab me with a sword, and I had what is those things? Oh, crud. It's a sickle. I had a sickle in the dream, and I was fighting them off with a sickle. And I was like, Jesus, what is a sickle? And I had to look it up, and it was interesting. I learned, and that's also how they tried to attack me, and then God used what they tried to attack me with to show me something. So they try. It doesn't really work. Like, it may scare you briefly, but you have to pray, and you ask God to protect you and rebuke the stuff that they try to do, and you'll be fine. It's okay. Like, but you have to pay attention, because there's always little things within the spiritual attacks that tell you one, why they're trying to attack you, and then two, a lot of time God does stuff in the moments and spirit realm to help you or teach you something, you know. So, and then also when you sleep sometimes, or like even when you're just sitting, they'll have like, it's a spirit that will come around, and it'll try to like keep your mouth shut. Like, you'll try to talk and you can't talk, or you'll try to move and you can't move. They try to do that too. It's the python spirit. It's trying to really distract you from praying, and you just pray harder. You just say, God, I rebuke that. Sometimes if you're too scared or you're too nervous, just say Jesus. Just say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Help me, Jesus. You know? And he'll help you. He'll help you because you're asking. And because, like, God is light and that's darkness. Like, darkness can't win, you guys. So you just ask for God and he'll be there. And I noticed also a lot of times before the python spirit happens, I noticed that there'll be like an influx of like fear or anxiety, and they'll try to exploit that and like turn it into something wicked. But again, rebuke and pray. And they also are always trying to hurt your progress. Like, for example, I've played instruments since I was a child, since I was like 8. They tried multiple times. They tried to pawn one of my instruments when I ended up leaving. They tried to take an instrument that was given to me for free, by a lady that literally, I was like, God, I want a saxophone. And then this lady just contacted my mom and was like, hey, you have a saxophone. Like, my daughter doesn't want it anymore. You can have it. And I just got one. Didn't ask me to pay for it. I had it since middle school to adulthood. So I had, what, like 12 years? Like, years. They tried to take that away. I wanted to sing in the choir. They They would allow me to study, to sing. They would allow me to study the songs, to be in the choir. But the day of the event, they would take me out. Didn't tell me why. Wouldn't explain why. Just didn't let me do it. Anything that could have elevated me or helped me to do anything better, they didn't want to do. But yeah. Another thing is they will, in the spirit room, they'll also try to do things to try to kill you. Like I was mentioning before, they'll also try to do things that lose your breath in the spirit room. I've woken up multiple times where they've tried to stop me from breathing when I sleep in the spirit realm. And then the crazy thing is, this happened when I was in the home. I woke up because I just wasn't breathing in my sleep. And this wasn't sleep apnea because I don't have that. And that's not something that typically happens to me. And the person, my dad, who actually cursed me with that, because I asked God and he showed me he did it. He came in my room and was like hugging me, knowing he full well cursed me. Like these people that do witchcraft are very bold about it. They don't hide it at all. Like, especially when they know you know, they are very bold and they don't have remorse. And that also brings me to another thing. These two, my mother and her sister, both do witchcraft. And when I met her sister, she was like, I was wondering why they didn't have a relationship, but then I realized they didn't have to, because they have the same spirit and they have the same evil spirit is in both of them. And when I recognized it, she was like, I saw your notebook, because I wrote it down. I was like, this person is this spirit is that spirit, and I wrote it. And I wrote their names in my notebook and was like, these are what their evil spirits are, and this is what they do. And she went to me and was like, I saw your notebook. And I was like, okay, you saw my notebook. I never physically gave her my notebook. So how did you see my notebook? I'm like, you're admitting to your witchcraft. So I thought that was funny. Like, they're always a step behind in witchcraft because God is before everything. But like, they're so cocky about it. And then like, she's like, yeah, I saw your notebook. And I was like, okay, you saw my notebook. I didn't give you my notebook. And I'm literally here all the time. So there's no way, unless you're like rummaging through my my things when I shower, there's no way you got it. Because they can't go in your space, by the way. They can't go in your space once God is protecting you. They can't go in there because evil can't be where God is. But oh man, but when I learned who she was like, I know you know who I am. And I was like, oh. I was like, this is crazy. Oh, it's not crazy, but I was like, the gall. She was like, yeah. She's like, I know you know who I am. I was like, wow, this spirit is wicked. She's like, I know you know who I am, but does he know who I am? To my then fiance, she was like, does he know who I am? Because I know you know who I am. To me, she said this to me, and it was so much dark energy in her eyes, and I was like, oh man, I was like, wow, the gall, like the cockiness to be doing witchcraft, and to like, oh man, can you imagine something of like great evil talking to God and being like, I know you know. Like, no. I'm not, but like Oh man, these little spiritual battles be tickling me, y'all. Like the presence of good and evil. If we're representing good and they're representing evil, and then they come over to you as the good thing that knows God is with them, and then they're like, I know you know. Like, no. What do you mean? You can't come with that type of attitude. But they don't have a reverence for God. So like I have a reverence for God. I hope you guys do too. Like when I do wrong, even if it's not a sin, I'm like, I'm sorry. But like imagine being a witch and being like, I know you know who I am, to a person that carries God's presence. That is crazy. That is ridiculous. That is funny. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continuing. um there's a lot of witchcraft in music, and it's not only sexual music. Like it's not R&B, it's not just rap. You have to be careful of everybody. You have to be careful of all the music. I'm not saying be scared, but I'm saying you have to use discernment to be like, this don't make me feel good, I'm not gonna listen to that. Because I remember I was listening to a rap song when I was living in an apartment one time, and something started choking me, and the person was talking about they was talking about wanting to harm themselves, and I was like, nope, in the name of Jesus. And then I turned it off and it stopped choking me, and I was like, never again, Satan, not listening to that artist. So you gotta be having discernment about your feelings and about what you like sense when you listen to it. Like a lot of pop artists have witchcraft in their music. Like if you guys seen that video of the girl that was listening to Taylor Swift and she started drooling and her eyes was rolling back, that's witchcraft. That's weird. That not even weird. That's not even weird. That's witchcraft. Like that's literally witchcraft. And then the people that rebuke like other people, like you gotta rebuke this music, cause that stuff that don't make no sense. Like think about it from a logical standpoint. Even if you're not Christian, should someone really be listening to your music and 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 like go cross-eyed and cry and salivate? Does that make sense from like even a logical standpoint? Like or these people that have symbolisms in their music, or like these ponds of like like red. Like does that make sense? Like what is red usually representative of? What do these symbols mean? What are we looking at? You know, you have to ask those questions and not just be like, oh, it's artistic. There's nothing like artistic that doesn't have a symbolism behind it. You have to ask questions like that. And these like these groups, like the people that join fraternities and sororities, you have to look at those too. Like who are they praising? Who are they talking to? Why is it a group? If we're supposed to be people that are peculiar people that are walking the narrow, how come you can sit in a group and nobody don't like you? That don't make sense. Like you sometimes you gotta look at people and be like, why are we cool? Are you really cool with me? like like you want to ask questions. You can't just devote yourself to everything, because everything is not meant for us to be devoted to. Yeah. Yeah. And they'll also do things to try to intimidate you. Witchcraft, witches, warlocks. Warlocks are a real thing too. Witches are a real thing too. Um, as well as they'll use the presence of the devil to intimidate you. They'll put him, they'll be like, devil, she's being bad. I don't like that she praises God. I don't like that he praises God. And they'll be like, devil, go sit next to her and tell her that she's terrible. I was sitting in a car and I saw the devil sitting right next, standing outside my window, and he was like, "Oh, you rang?" And I was like, "Sir, I'm sorry. I represent Jesus. I don't care that you're standing right there." Like, I just prayed. I know make it sound like it's casual, but like it is serious. Like you do need to pray. You just be like, Jesus, the devil is standing right there and he thinks he intimidated me and I'm not, because I'm gonna sit here and listen to praise music and I'm gonna tell him I don't care, because I don't. That's the attitude you have to have when you go to sleep and they try to bother you sleep. Guess what? I got a sword. Not an actual sword. I don't mean a sword. You can't fight demons with swords. I'm saying a spiritual sword. The sword of the spirit. I have the book of the Bible. I have Jesus in my heart. I do not care who you are, sir or ma'am. No, that's the attitude you have to have. Like, Jesus is going to take care of me. Jesus is going to help me. Jesus is going to protect me. That's the attitude you have to have. You have to be like, I don't care who you send. I don't care who your mom is. I don't care who my dad is. Jesus is my savior. That's it. Point blank, period. I don't care. You got to fight. That's what it is. You just got to fight it. You got to pray for it. You got to rebuke it and say, I have the authority of Jesus Christ in my words, in my circle. If this is a circle, I used to think when I had DID, I would be like, I have a mountain. My mountain is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is in the middle of my mountain. There's not any Satan, any warlock, any witchcraft that's gonna bother me.